Right, Alfie, what a fantastic day that was on Saturday. Lots of goals, a victory, a bumper crowd, and top of the table.
It couldn't get any better. I feel like with everything that's going on at the club at the moment, with the club now going back on the up, after the last few poor performances the last 2 years, I feel like everything's just come together, and I feel like after that community day, it shows that everyone is now slowly getting behind us again, which obviously is helping us on the pitch with the table showing where we are.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a crowd in at Crabble, we all saw it at the Folkestone game. Obviously, you didn't play in that one, but when it gets rocking there, doesn't it? I mean, the Dartford one was another example, wasn't it? That was a decent crowd.
No, exactly. And I think like what is also it's a lot of the kids and a lot of parents that was their first time going to the game, and I feel like it was possibly the perfect game with it being against hashtag. It's been 6 goals in the game, so it's not like it's just been a one-off either. You can tell like we've been scoring 3, 4, sometimes even 5 goals each game. So I feel like the more fans we get, the more the team gets behind the fans, and the fans gets behind us.
Now, on the subject of goals, Alfie, you must have been pleased with your opener. Great strike.
Oh yeah, no, it's just nice to get. Normally, I'm the one giving the Nick Hadges, the Rubens, and the Baps all the goals, but I thought at least they've repaid me for once, and yeah, it was just nice to get back on the score sheet.
And he did just score, of course, a lovely assist as well. Talk me through that one.
Yeah, so obviously with the first one, it was quite quick. Obviously, we scored in the third minute, and like the gaffer said, sometimes scoring so early on can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing towards us. And I feel like we kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit as soon as we scored. And then obviously hashtag come back out and score straight away again. But again with the assist, like I've already told the boys, just trust me a little bit, like make the runs and I'll try and find them. And if I don't, then just keep on making them and I will find them eventually.
Yeah, and what a goal from Harrison as well. I mean, a couple of world-class goals, actually. If they were on match of the day, I'd be raving about them.
I know Pont, I've taught him one or two things in training recently, so at least he's listened. But no, he's a good lad, and we always said that he had that in his locker. As much as he never get forward, but again, he can just shows there's goals coming from everywhere around the pitch, which is again a winning side.
Now, we all know it's a team game, but personal accolades are nice as well. Man of the match, and of course, you've won Player of the Month as well. You must be proud of that.
Yeah, no, of course, I think the best thing is obviously having recognition from the boys, obviously knowing the abilities that I have, but also the fans, like also helping them not just on the pitch with the performances, but off the pitch, like making sure I communicate with them and just more get them on our side. Because, like I said, like the more fans we have, the more backing the whole squad gets. And yeah, I think Player of the Month obviously is a nice little accolade for myself. But again, like I put in my tweet, I said it is a team game, so it'll be me last month. This month might be a different player, and yeah, as long as we stick together, then again, that's all that matters.
Now, you're playing in a sort of a deeper role. I know you played in a number of positions. You're very versatile, but you're playing in a deeper role for Jake. Is that a position you've played much before in the past?
Not necessarily. I think I've more been in obviously through my whole academy career. I was always a striker, and then as I've dropped down the leagues, they've put me kind of further and further back. And at the start, I was a bit 50-50 on it because I wanna be the boy who scores the goals and gets the praise. But I feel like this is the perfect position for me at the moment where I've got the legs to run around, but also I've got the communication, which I think is massive this season. Obviously having people like Pont, JT, and Luca behind me speaking to me, and then obviously I can speak to the forward boys. But no, I just feel like it's a different position. But again, if the gaffer wants me to play right back, I'll play right back as long as I'm playing.
Yeah. Would you play in goal?
Could be better than Mitch, but I'll let him have that this season.
But of course, in that position, you've got to be very fit, and there's a lot of work has to be done behind the scenes. I know you do a lot of gym work. Just tell us a little bit about. I mean, are you having to work more away from the club to get the fitness to play in that sort of position?
Yeah, no, of course. I feel like obviously I've been full time my whole life, so it was natural to run around. Like you have to, but obviously now, obviously we're only part time. It is frustrating in that sense, but again, you have to do the off the pitch stuff, and you obviously have to, like loads of people say, you have to work in silence. Really, you have to do your own bits because no one else is going to do it for me. So if I don't do it, it shows on the pitch when I'm either blowing or just can't physically run for 45, 90 minutes, 110 minutes, whatever it is going to be.
So tell us a little bit about, just to give fans insight, because they like love to know all this sort of thing about players. What is the work that you do? What specifically are you doing to, keep yourself fit or even improve your fitness to play in this type of position?
Yeah, I think obviously when you have like a baseline fitness, obviously when we had in pre-season, it was difficult for me because I was over in Australia, so I was still playing, and then I got a little niggle, so that was obviously tough for me. But obviously, as soon as we come back, it's more as long as you've got that base fitness line, then you can always keep up to that standard. So obviously, I've invested a lot into myself with like buying a Peloton, buying loads of recovery stuff. So I think like that's the main thing, having a base fitness, and then just keep on working on it. Like whether that's going for taking a dog for a walk for an hour, as long as you're getting your steps in, and even like going on the bike for half an hour, 45 minutes. But obviously, football fitness is different to general fitness. Obviously, I'm never going to be jogging at 50, 60% pace the whole game. 1 minute I'm sprinting down the line chasing someone, and then someone might go down for a head injury. So I'm chilling out for 2, 3 minutes. So
Mhm.
I think it's more interval training. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff, but also just keeping on top of my gym work, like more physically, but it also helps me mentally.
Yeah, and of course, you're having to travel quite a distance. So, does that have an effect on you in any way? I mean, what is it, a 2.5 hour drive, 2.5 hour
Yeah.
drive back? How are you finding that?
Do you know what? It's not that bad. I can just put on a podcast, listen, chill out. Obviously, I stop off, go get get a drink and stuff, and I feel like it's not the end of the world. It's when I'm down there, then that's my chill time. I can obviously stay in my hotel, have my dinner, and then again wake up. And I'm always the first one there and the last one out, which is just something I've always done. So again, the drive doesn't bother me.
No. Now, hashtag United. I was watching the highlights of that over the weekend. Absolutely fantastic production, isn't it? They must have had 5 or 6 different camera angles,
Yeah.
and, all behind the scenes. Quite impressive. Were you impressed by it?
Do you know what? I'm like a few other younger lads. Obviously, I've watched them growing up, like in the YouTube space, and it was a bit like not surreal to play against them, but it was like I used to watch these like 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm playing against them. But I think you got to get into that mentality of it's just another game. Like if we want to push on, I'm not going to jinx it, but if we do want to push on, we need to just kind of block all that stuff out. And I feel like everyone, not just myself, but everyone blocked it out. No one really gave a fuss. And again, it showed on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, on personal preference, I prefer to win football matches, and of course, players they need to focus on matches, don't they? I mean, you do sometimes see clubs that do these documentaries, and actually, sometimes it hurts their form a little bit.
No, of course it does, and you can tell like obviously they haven't had the best start to this season. I mean, they've flew up from obviously where they started
Yeah,
to now. Like fair play to them, but sometimes again, not in a digging out, but sometimes you've got to let the football do the talking. And I feel like that's what we've done very, very well this season. Again, our media team and yourself are unbelievable. Obviously, hashtag above everybody else. But
yeah.
as long as the football's doing the talking, I don't think fans care what is going on the media and what is going off the pitch.
Yeah, now we're top of the table. It was lovely to look at the table at 5 o'clock on Saturday to see us top of the tree. That must breed confidence amongst the lads as well, rather than add any pressure.
No, of course. I feel like now, obviously, we've got 2 weeks without a league game. It's nice just sometimes I have a little look and it just shows like, right, we're top of the league for 2 weeks. This is good. But at the same time, we're only a quarter way through the season. No one wins the league in quarter of the season. So, yes, obviously, it's a fantastic achievement for all of us and obviously Jake and the staff. Obviously, I know the chairman's buzzing about it, but it's now where do we push on from this? We've had 1 quarter of the season. Now we've got to look on to the next quarter and then the next and then the next. So, I feel like as long as we all stay together and help each other out on and off the pitch, this team could go wherever. Team could go far.
I saw a trivial question about who are the unbeaten teams in English football at the moment. Man City were one of them. Um, Billericay and Macclesfield were the other two. I'm not sure if there was a fourth one, but in any case, Billericay unbeaten, but we're above Billericay. So to actually be above an unbeaten team, that
Mm.
again is an incredible achievement.
No, of course, and obviously I'm quite close with a few of the boys at Billericay, so there's been a few jokes on social media recently about who's going to win the league. But again, I don't think that's us looking at. I think again, everyone knows everyone in football nowadays. You can have a laugh and a joke, but
course.
again, fair play to Billy Ricky. I think Gary, obviously the gaffer and the team, are doing very, very well. Just shows that yes, they have a big budget, but I think football's football. Sometimes if you don't concede, you don't lose. So fair play to them.
Yeah. Now the challenge obviously is to try and stay there, but we haven't put pressure on ourselves. I mean, we started this season not really knowing what it was going to bring. A lot of people at the club were happy for a mid-table. I suppose after caught way in, you're sort of up there. You feel like, can we push for a promotion playoff spot at the very least?
No, of course. I feel like there are going to be like talking. Obviously, I watched the Leicester documentary a few years ago, and obviously when they said like they didn't really ever think they was going to win the league until later on in the season. So I don't think anyone's looking at where we're going to finish in the season. It's more we're taking each game by each game. Obviously now we have to focus on to Sittingbourne and get a big performance in because I feel like we deserve ourselves, but also more importantly the fans a performance after the last two games there. But yeah, going back to your point, I feel like I don't think it's more in our head. I feel like we're just looking at each game, each game. So
Yeah, well, you take me nicely on to Sittingbourne. Of course, that gives a lot of Dover fans nightmares at the moment after what happened in the FA Cup, and I'm sure the players as well. It was almost written in the stars that we're going to end up playing them in the FA Trophy, but a good chance here to put that right, isn't it?
no, of course. I think as soon as obviously it come out, one of the boys sent it into the group chat, and everyone was like, "Great," because it just seemed like they were a bit of our bogey team. But again, football's football. Anyone can win against anyone, especially in our league at the moment. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I feel like revenge is needed, not for us, but again, more importantly, for the fans.
Yeah, and of course the FA Trophy, it's a good competition. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to have a long run in that because of the league we're in now. But we've got happy memories of that because actually, I think even before you were born, Alfie, I went to a game where we were in the semi-finals. We almost got to Wembley,
Wow.
just missed out, you know. But it is a great competition, isn't it? And there's a bit of prize money to be had as well, which obviously helps the club.
No, of course, and that's what we said. It goes back to like the community day. Like it brings in more money for the club and it helps sustain Dover, which I think is the main thing. No one wants to see Dover where we are. No one does. So I feel like yeah, the FA Trophy, as much as people don't expect us to do so well, no one expected us to be first 12 games into the season. So again, football, like I keep on saying, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Now, tell me, how do you feel the team's improved? Because, as I say, this has been a work in progress. It was a blank canvas to start off with. How do you feel the team's learning as we're going along? Where do you think we've improved?
I think I think it's more the stability in the squad. Obviously, I know a few boys have left, a few boys have, like for instance, Kieran's retired, and a few boys have gone out on loan. But the gaffer, he's quite loyal. He's kept the same lineup now for the last 7 games, which yes, it can be unfair in some people's eyes. However, when the team's getting performances, obviously we come back off the three, nearly 4 clean sheets in a row. It's hard to change obviously things, and obviously I don't know what Jake thinks and what Mike and Paul thinks, but it's more, especially when a team's winning, it is hard to change a team. So obviously now I know I'm playing with Wilco and Ponte on a weekend. I know exactly what they're good at and what they not so good at. So that's me to help them. And again, obviously the forward boys are on fire, so it is hard to change things. So I feel like the constant stability in the starting 11 obviously helps everyone know each other on, but also off the pitch.
What lessons have been learned, do you think? I mean, obviously the defeats, you can always learn from defeats. Where do you think we learn from the setbacks that we've had and even some of the victories where perhaps our performances have been great and we've managed to get across the line?
You know, of course, I feel like everyone can see. Obviously, we had that poor performance against Carl Shelton, and quite lucky to get that equaliser in the 90 plus minutes. But again, we didn't let that happen again. Obviously, Wingate happened, and then we lost. And again, if you look at the table and look at the fixtures, we haven't lost since. So I don't exactly know what we've learned to stop it. I think it's more a mentality thing. No one wanted to lose that game, and you can tell when we lost that game, there was some faces where it was like this can't happen ever again. And I
Mm.
think Jake and Mike, they've been very, very good to us. Like they tell us when we've done wrong, and they know like when it's just not our day. And we've always said that if a better team beats us, then we'll hold our hands up. But I don't think any team will ever beat us through hard work and determination.
Now, obviously, everyone knows about Jake and Mike, but Paul's also a big part in all this. Can you just give us a bit of insight into what Paul does and how he's helpful to the team?
Yeah, I think Paul's obviously he's been around the non-league for quite a few years now. He's obviously been at Dulwich. which has obviously been, again, he tried getting me in a few years ago, so we make that joke all the time. But again, Paul's that sort of guy where he knows what you want off the pitch just as much as on the pitch. There's been times where obviously we've had behind closed doors friendlies, and the boys that have been playing a few minutes he's taken our training sessions, and he knows what players want, not just on the pitch but also off the pitch. So I feel like he's a good guy to be around, and yeah, he's a good laugh as well. Great coach.
And of course, we've got Hyde as well, Paul Hyde, the goalkeeper coach. I mean, he's played Premier League football, hasn't he? He played for Leicester,
Mm.
obviously played lots of EFL games. Must be great to have this experience to tap into, because even though he was a goalkeeper, the amount of experiences and things that he's witnessed in his career must be so helpful for youngsters like yourself.
Yeah, no, of course. Obviously, we do speak quite often, which is a bit of a weird thing to say as a goalkeeper coach. But he always pulls me to the side and just say like, I need to like get hold of players. I need to use my voice more because obviously I'm quite a loud person on and off the pitch, especially off the pitch. He tells me I need to talk a little bit more, but again, he's been a great help, and obviously he's lucky that I'm not a goalkeeper because Mitch would obviously position would be under scrutiny there.
um, and just finally, mate, the community day. Absolutely incredible crowd. Biggest crowd since 2017. What was it like to play in front of that, and how important is that going forward?
You know what? Firstly, I just want to say, like, Vicky, fair play to her. Like,
Yeah.
unbelievable how she's obviously gone through obviously all that stress of packing every single one of those bags. I think just constantly like not knowing what's going to happen, how many people is going to turn up. So I just want to say well done to her and obviously the chairman and everyone
Absolutely.
around the club. But yeah, the community day was unbelievable. Like obviously me and Ponty was there quite early. We had a little guy at the photo booth, which I think we need that at the games more often because it might have been good luck for me. But no, I think like having a big crowd, it helps because when you're under the cosh a little bit, if you're playing away and fans have got 400,000, like 4,000 fans,
Mm.
they're going to get behind them. So I feel like the fans were our literal 12th man on Saturday. You can tell like all the songs that were being sung. I think again, like the more fans there are, the boys think, okay, like we are doing well. And then when it slowly starts to die down, we need to obviously up our game again. So yeah, I think the community day was a great thing, and hopefully the club starts doing it more often.
Yeah, it's a very good positive thing. I think it's something that we've done very well, and if we can do a few more of those, it can only grow the support. I've been in touch with Folkestone, asking about the ticket situation. They've sold 1,200 tickets apparently so far, and there's a couple of weeks away to that game, so that's going to be a guaranteed bumper crowd. Of course, away from home,
Mm.
of course, that's a fixture to look forward to. I mean, what's that going to be like playing away where perhaps I mean, obviously going to be a lot of Dover fans there, but of course, it's going to be a big hostile home fan base there as well.
Yeah, no, of course. I feel like it was a bit like the Dover game, Dover v Dartford. Obviously, Dartford brought quite a few hundred people. But again, I think with this group of boys, yes, we're a young group of lads, but I feel like we've got a lot of experience, and it shouldn't phase us. I'm not going to say it won't, but we don't know what other people are like. But it ain't going to phase me in a sense where I think it's more of a point to prove, which obviously we lost. So obviously we went down to 10 men. But yeah, I just feel like, listen, it's the game, but in all honesty, I don't think anyone, including myself, is not thinking about focusing at the moment. I feel like all we're concentrating on that Sittingbourne game
Yeah.
and whatever happens on Sittingbourne, and then we focus again on for Cray on Tuesday.